Welcome to the Unraveling the Scriptures channel. Among the many enigmatic figures in the Old Testament, few are as intriguing as Enoch, a man whose life and destiny defy human understanding. Unlike anyone else, Enoch did not experience death. He was simply taken to the heavens alive, never leaving a body behind. But what makes Enoch even more fascinating is not just his mysterious departure, but the writings attributed to him, texts that were considered sacred by many early Jews and Christians. The Book of Enoch, one of the most controversial manuscripts in religious history, raises a question that still echoes today. If it was a book revered by so many ancient traditions, why was it excluded from the Bible? What was in its texts that led to its removal? What secrets does it reveal? Was its absence from the scriptures merely a theological decision, or was something much deeper concealed from humanity? Get ready, because in this video, we will explore the oral and written traditions of Enoch, the mysteries behind his forbidden book, and the reasons that led to its exclusion from the Bible. The mystery of the Book of Enoch. Why was it removed from the Bible? Enoch is one of the most mysterious patriarchs of the scriptures. His name, meaning the dedicated, already suggests his deep spiritual connection. He was not an ordinary man. According to biblical records, Enoch was the seventh from Adam, belonging to the lineage of Seth, the descent considered righteous and God-fearing. But Enoch was not just a patriarch, he was the first of all prophets, the one who, according to many scholars, initiated the prophetic tradition among humans. His father was Jared, and his son was none other than Methuselah, the longest living man in biblical history, who lived an impressive 969 years. Furthermore, Enoch was the grandfather of Lamech, who in turn was the father of Noah, the man who would survive the flood. This makes Enoch Noah's great-grandfather, a direct connection to one of the most dramatic events in Scripture. However, his importance is not limited to genealogy. Enoch is present in various ancient traditions, not only in Judaism and Christianity, but also in Islam and other Middle Eastern religions. He is considered the scribe of the final judgment, the man who is said to have recorded revelations about the fate of humanity in a book that, for centuries, was considered both sacred and forbidden, the Book of Enoch, also known as First Enoch. The figure of Enoch has always sparked curiosity, but what truly intrigues many people is the book that bears his name. The so-called Book of Enoch is not just a forgotten apocryphal work. It is mentioned within the scriptures themselves. In the New Testament, we find direct references to this book. It is cited in the second epistle of Peter, the epistle of Jude, and indirectly in the epistle to the Hebrews. But the most striking citation is in Jude 1:14-15, where nearly the entire second chapter of the Book of Enoch is reproduced as a true prophecy. If the book was read, cited, and accepted by early Christians, an inevitable question arises. If the Book of Enoch was recognized in the time of the apostles, why was it removed from the Bible? In the time of Christ, the Book of Enoch was widely known among the Jews. The Essenes, a religious group that lived in the desert of Qumran and possibly had ties to John the Baptist, considered the book sacred. The Pharisees were also aware of the work, and early Christians not only read the book, but cited its teachings on several occasions. The recognition of the Book of Enoch was not limited to one or two isolated followers. Several early church fathers attested to its importance, reinforcing that it was a text considered sacred in the early centuries of Christianity. Additionally, first-century Jews themselves were familiar with its writings, which shows that its later exclusion was not immediate, but rather a deliberate decision. If so many traditions respected this book, what led to its removal? What was in it that could not be widely disclosed? Starting in the 2nd century AD, something strange happened. The Book of Enoch began to be rejected by many Jews, but the final blow came in the 4th century, when the text fell into disuse and was virtually erased from the Jewish Christian tradition. But why? What was in this book that caused so much controversy? The answer may lie in the messianic prophecies contained within its pages. The Book of Enoch, whose dating points to at least 300 years before Christ, describes in stunning detail the coming of a Messiah with characteristics identical to Jesus Christ. How could a book written centuries before Jesus already speak about him? This deeply troubled many Jewish religious leaders of the time, who could not accept a text that seemed to legitimize the figure of Christ so clearly. Because of this, the Book of Enoch was discredited and persecuted, gradually being removed from sacred readings. But this was not the only mystery of the book. Enoch also describes supernatural events that explain the spiritual world in a way that the traditional Bible only briefly mentions. One of the most intriguing accounts in the book is the story of the fall of 200 fallen angels, which differs from the fall of Lucifer. According to the Book of Enoch, these angels descended to earth, teaching witchcraft, astrology, metallurgy, and various forbidden technologies to humans. This second angelic rebellion is mentioned enigmatically in the Bible in Genesis 6:2-4, where it speaks of the sons of God who joined with the daughters of men, giving rise to a hybrid race of giants known as the Nephilim. The corruption caused by these beings was so great that God had to intervene and imprison them in the depths, preventing them from continuing to influence humanity. The Book of Enoch is not just a forbidden text, it is a true archive of ancient mysteries, revealing secrets that were deliberately erased from official traditions. Among these secrets, we find the origins of witchcraft, magic, hybrid creatures, and the very existence of demons. According to Enoch, the fallen angels taught humanity occult practices, revealing forbidden knowledge such as astrology, metallurgy, enchantments, and other secrets that changed the course of history. These revelations not only led men to corruption, but also altered the natural order of creation, giving rise to monstrous creatures and abominations. Among these creatures, the feared Nephilim emerge, the giants of antiquity. The Nephilim, briefly mentioned in Genesis 6:4, were the result of the union between fallen angels and human women. According to the Book of Enoch, these entities were not only giants physically, but extremely powerful, violent, and destructive beings. But the book goes even further. Beyond the Nephilim, it mentions the emergence of other hybrid creatures, such as mermaids, beings that are part human and part aquatic, also said to be the result of the genetic corruption caused by the fallen angels. The Book of Enoch not only details the fall of the angels, but also explains one of the greatest mysteries of the spiritual world, the origin of demons. In the New Testament, we find mentions of principalities and powers often associated with fallen angels. However, the Book of Enoch reveals that there is a second class of evil spirits, the so-called unclean spirits, which would actually be the spirits of the dead giants. This means that the demons that torment humanity are not only fallen angels, but also the souls of the Nephilim, condemned to wander the earth forever. This idea comes from an ancient Jewish tradition that teaches that, upon their death, the Nephilim went neither to heaven nor hell. They were cursed by God himself to remain on earth as wandering spirits, being called in the New Testament the spiritual hosts of wickedness. If this is true, then the spiritual world may be much more complex than we imagine. The demons that haunt men are not only fallen beings from heaven, but also remnants of a lost era, of a forgotten war between angels and the giants of antiquity. There are persistent rumors that, locked away, far from the public eye, exists a complete copy of the Book of Enoch. A version written in Aramaic, hidden in the depths of the archives of those who control information. This version is said to have been found alongside the Dead Sea Scrolls, but instead of being revealed to the world, it was quickly concealed by authorities and scholars who decided its contents were too dangerous to come to light. What we know so far is that most people have access to a version of the Book of Enoch translated into the ancient Ge'ez language, preserved by Ethiopian Christians for millennia. This Ethiopian version survived against all odds, while others were destroyed over the centuries. Since the 3rd century, the Book of Enoch has faced relentless persecution. It was banned, burned, torn apart, and condemned to oblivion by many Jews and Christians. While some groups rejected its teachings, others held an unwavering faith, considering its words as an essential part of spiritual knowledge. Interestingly, it was only thanks to the Christians and Jews of Ethiopia that a complete version of the Book of Enoch reached us. But then, in an event that defies any conventional explanation, something happened between the years of 1940 and 1950. In the deserts near the Dead Sea, in caves forgotten by time, one of the greatest archaeological discoveries in history emerged: the Dead Sea Scrolls. Over 800 ancient texts, some dating back more than 200 years before Christ, were found in clay jars, preserved against the ravages of time. And among these documents was something that would shake the understanding of religious history: fragments of the Book of Enoch. The discovery was overwhelming. This book, considered apocryphal and removed from the official scriptures, was read and respected by the Jews of Christ's time. The Book of Enoch is not merely a forgotten apocryphal document. For many scholars and theologians, it carries a weight that cannot be ignored. This is because there are indications that the book was cited by central figures in Christianity, including Paul, Peter, Jude, and even Jesus Christ. In the Epistle of Jude, one of the texts in the New Testament, there is a direct reference to the Book of Enoch. In chapter 1, verses 6 and 7, Jude speaks of angels who did not keep their original state and were condemned, a clear parallel to the account found in the apocryphal book. The connection is inevitable. Jude is reaffirming Enoch's narrative about the fallen angels, linking their transgression to the same sin that condemned Sodom and Gomorrah, the corruption of the divine purpose for creation. But the question becomes even more intriguing when we examine a statement attributed to Jesus Christ himself. When Christ mentions that angels do not marry, nor are they given in marriage, he is responding to the Sadducees about the nature of the resurrection. However, this specific passage is not found in any book of the Old Testament, but in the Book of Enoch. If Jesus was citing a sacred scripture for the Jews and Christians of the first century, and this scripture only exists in the Book of Enoch, this raises a troubling question. Why did the Church later reject this book if it was used by Christ himself to teach his followers? Furthermore, in various spiritual traditions, from African-rooted religions to Judeo-Christian beliefs, there are accounts of spiritual entities that manifest physically and have relationships with humans. The very concept of demons taking material forms to deceive or interact with the living echoes the narrative of the Watchers, the fallen angels described in the Book of Enoch, who defied divine order by joining with human women. Christ, when rebuking the Sadducees, states, "You are mistaken, because you do not know the Scriptures, nor the power of God." If the scripture he cites only exists in the Book of Enoch, this implies that he himself considered it a sacred and legitimate text. A question that many ask me frequently is, why is the Book of Enoch not in the Bible? This is, in fact, an interesting question, as there are various sacred canons, meaning collections of books considered sacred by different religious traditions. Many people may not know, but there is not just one single biblical canon. In addition to the Bible we know with 66 books, there is also the Catholic Bible, which includes deuterocanonical books, the Aramaic Peshitta Bible, the Orthodox Bible, the Ethiopian Bible, and even the Septuagint, which contains books not found in the Protestant Bible. Therefore, when we talk about the exclusion of the Book of Enoch, the question we should ask is, which Bible are we referring to? Curiously, many Christians around the world believe in the Book of Enoch and consider it part of their scriptures. A notable example is that of Ethiopian Christians, who still include the Book of Enoch in their biblical canon. The exclusion of this book from the Western Bible was the result of various councils in antiquity, including Catholic councils, which decided not to incorporate it officially into the sacred texts. However, even outside the official canon, the Book of Enoch continues to be studied and respected by many Christians. In addition to the Ethiopians, there are records of Jews from that region who also consider its writings sacred. In contemporary Christian theology, there is a division. Some scholars argue that the Book of Enoch may be divinely inspired and worthy of study, while others contend it should not be considered a biblical text. This division leads to an ongoing debate, with a significant portion of scholars accepting its historical importance and another rejecting its authenticity. It is interesting to note that several church fathers, such as Athenagoras, Clement of Alexandria, Irenaeus of Lyons, and Tertullian, among others, gave great credibility to the writings of Enoch. Additionally, archaeological discoveries, such as the Dead Sea Scrolls, demonstrate that the book was widely known and respected in the time of Christ, possibly being one of the oldest versions of the Old Testament. And what do you think about the Book of Enoch? Do you believe it should be part of the Bible, or do you think its exclusion was correct? Leave your comment and share your opinion. Thank you for watching the video until now. May God bless you all and see you soon.